In the ancient hills of Bethlehem, where simple homes blended into the dusty landscape, a story unfolds that echoes through the ages. It is the tale of Zeruiah, a woman shrouded in biblical mystery, yet whose influence shaped the destiny of a kingdom. Born into the humble family of Jesse, she was part of a lineage destined for greatness, the same bloodline that would give rise to King David. Though the scriptures offer few details about her birth or early years, Zeruiah emerges as more than a footnote in history. She was David's sister, a figure of quiet strength in a world dominated by warriors and kings. Imagine a modest household, filled with the aroma of baked bread and the sounds of daily life, far removed from palaces or nobility. This was the cradle of Zeruiah's story, around the 11th century BCE, in the tribal lands of Judah. The Bible remains silent on her exact birth date, but we know she grew up in an era of tribal conflicts, where the Israelites struggled against Philistine oppressors and internal divisions. Her father, Jesse, was a shepherd and farmer, embodying the agrarian economy of ancient Israel, reliant on livestock, grain, and olive cultivation. Yet, whispers in the texts suggest complexity in her origins. Some scholars interpret passages in 2 Samuel and 1 Chronicles to propose that Zeruiah and her sister Abigail might have been daughters of Nahash, possibly an Ammonite king, making them half-sisters to David through their mother. This potential mixed heritage, blending Israelite and foreign blood, was no small matter in a society bound by strict tribal and religious identities. In ancient Israel, lineage determined alliances, marriages, and even divine favor under the Mosaic law that emphasized purity and separation from neighboring peoples. If true, Zeruiah's background highlights a cultural tension, the inclusion of outsiders in God's chosen narrative, foreshadowing themes of redemption and unity that would define the Israelite monarchy. Politically, this era was turbulent, as the tribes transitioned from judges to kingship, with Saul as the first anointed ruler around 1020 BCE. Zeruiah witnessed her younger brother David's rise, anointed by the prophet Samuel in secret, then his victory over Goliath, and his ascension to the throne after Saul's death in 1003 BCE. But Zeruiah's own life took a path of domestic resilience. She became a mother to 3 sons, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel, whose exploits would intertwine with David's reign. Remarkably, the Bible consistently refers to them as the sons of Zeruiah, not by their father's name, which remains unmentioned. This omission is striking in a patriarchal culture where paternal lineage was paramount for inheritance, military rank, and social status. Was she a widow, raising her children alone in a time when women had limited rights? Or did her husband's obscurity reflect her own formidable presence? In ancient Israelite society, widows faced economic hardship, often relying on family or levirate marriage. Yet Zeruiah's sons rose to prominence, suggesting her strength as a single pillar of the household. Her story reflects the broader role of women in biblical times, often behind the scenes, managing homes amid constant warfare, contributing to the economy through weaving, farming, and child-rearing, while men fought. Technologically, this period saw Bronze Age tools evolving toward iron, with chariots and slings as key weapons, but Zeruiah's influence was human, molding warriors in an age of spears and shields. As David's kingdom solidified around 1000 BCE, Zeruiah's sons became instrumental in its expansion. Joab, the eldest, emerged as a military genius. In the conquest of Jerusalem, a Jebusite stronghold since the time of Abraham, David challenged his men to breach the city's defenses via a treacherous water shaft. Around 1000 BCE, Joab volunteered, scaling the narrow, dark tunnel under cover of night, risking death from guards or collapse. His success opened the gates, allowing David's forces to capture the city, which became the political and religious capital of Israel. This event marked a pivotal shift. Jerusalem's strategic location on trade routes boosted economic growth through taxation and commerce, while its elevation provided natural defenses. Culturally, it unified the tribes under a central sanctuary, laying the foundation for the temple. Joab's reward was command of the army, a position he held with iron resolve. His tactics, including siege warfare and rapid strikes, reflected the evolving military technology of the time, incorporating Philistine iron weapons captured in battles. Abishai, the middle son, embodied raw valor. In one legendary clash, detailed in 2 Samuel 23, he single-handedly defended David against a Philistine onslaught, slaying 300 foes with his spear. This occurred during the ongoing wars with the Philistines, who dominated the coastal plains with superior metallurgy and organized armies. Abishai's feat not only saved the king, but boosted morale, illustrating the heroic ideal in Israelite culture, where individual champions echoed the judges like Samson. Politically, such victories secured David's throne against rivals, expanding Israel's borders from the Negev to the Euphrates. Yet, the brothers' story darkens with Asahel, the youngest, known for his incredible speed. Asahel pursued Abner, Saul's former commander, during a civil skirmish at Gibeon around 1003 BCE. Following Saul's death, this internal conflict pitted Judah, loyal to David, against the northern tribes under Ishbosheth. Asahel's relentless chase ended tragically when Abner, in self-defense, thrust his spear backward, killing him instantly. The death ignited a blood feud, underscoring the honor-bound society where vengeance was a cultural imperative, often leading to cycles of violence as per the lex talionis in Mosaic law. Economically, these wars disrupted trade and agriculture, but victories brought spoils, enriching the kingdom. Joab and Abishai's response was calculated revenge. Years later, around 995 BCE, when Abner defected to David to unify the kingdom, Joab lured him to Hebron's gate, a city of refuge where bloodshed was forbidden, and stabbed him in the abdomen. This act, while avenging Asahel, defied David's peace efforts, highlighting tensions between military and royal authority. David publicly mourned Abner, cursing Joab, yet retained him due to his indispensability. This incident reveals the political fragility of early monarchy. Kings relied on generals, but unchecked power bred insubordination. The sons of Zeruiah's influence peaked during Absalom's rebellion around 980 BCE. Absalom, David's son, usurped the throne, forcing David to flee. In the decisive battle in Ephraim's forest, Joab's forces routed the rebels. When Absalom was caught helplessly in a tree by his hair, a symbol of his vanity, Joab ignored David's plea for mercy and pierced him with 3 spears. This regicide stabilized the kingdom but strained Joab's relationship with David, who grieved deeply. Culturally, it exposed the tragic flaws in biblical heroes: ambition, betrayal, and the clash between familial love and statecraft. Technologically, forest warfare favored infantry over chariots, showcasing Joab's adaptive strategies. Culturally, Zeruiah represents resilient women in Scripture, challenging patriarchal norms through her indirect power. Her Ammonite ties, if true, underscore inclusivity, prefiguring messianic themes of universal salvation. Globally, this era's stories shaped Western civilization, inspiring art, literature, and governance models. Zeruiah's silent strength teaches that true influence often lies in the unseen, nurturing leaders who change history. In a world of fleeting glory, her legacy reminds us roots matter more than crowns. As we reflect on these ancient echoes, consider the invisible forces shaping our own times. What quiet strengths do we cultivate today, and how might they alter tomorrow's narratives? As David aged, Joab's hubris led to his downfall. Supporting Adonijah's bid for the throne against Solomon around 970 BCE, Joab betrayed the designated heir. Upon Solomon's ascension, he ordered Joab's execution. The once mighty general fled to the altar but was slain there, ending his era. Abishai fades from records, likely dying in obscurity, while Asahel's early death left a void. Zeruiah herself vanishes from the narrative, her death unrecorded, but her legacy endures. Her son's actions forged Israel's golden age, influencing regional powers like Egypt and Assyria, who eyed the prosperous kingdom. Economically, David's conquests, aided by Joab, amassed wealth from tributes, funding Solomon's temple and trade networks.